So where did the name Locust come from? When I was 13 years old in Fort Worth, Texas, is where I grew up, and it was the middle of the summer, super hot, 98 degrees, 100 degrees, 100% humidity, just like swimming through the air. And my younger brother and I, he was 6 years younger than me at the time, walked down the street to go play at the middle school, and we're hitting golf balls back and forth with our golf clubs, just messing around and practicing our swings. And a group of 4 kids, they looked like they were late teens, maybe even a little older, came walking up, and they walked strange, they acted a little uncomfortable, walked over, asked if they could play, and so we said, sure, do what you want to do. So they took our golf clubs and started to walk off, and got about 100 yards away, and they stopped and they walked back, and walked up and made a strange kind of circle around me, and started asking strange questions like, where do you go to school? Just like, not strange, just kind of out of the blue. We didn't know these kids, they didn't talk to us, they clearly were just coming to mess around, take this, walk away. Just started asking questions, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm laying on the ground. One of them had taken the golf club, it was a pitching wedge, so it's got a really nice heavy metal head to it. And he was beating me over the head with my golf club, and down on the ground, and curled up, kind of protecting my head, and pretty sure at that point that I was gonna die. And I remember consciously thinking it, and I remember calmly, strangely thinking, this is it, I'm gonna die. And like everybody says, like something people say all the time, and it sounds trite, my life kind of flashed before my eyes, not exactly that way, but I remember having thoughts of so many different people and moments, and it was just wild. And then all of a sudden I heard my brother yelling, run, and I looked up, and the guy had the end of the golf club in his hand, holding the golf club in his hand with the end snapped off. He had just been hitting me so hard it just snapped in half. And so I jumped up and I ran, and my brother ran, and we ran to the nearest house, which was just right across the street, and just sat down on their patio, and he knocked on the door, or I knocked on the door, who even knows, and these 2 nice ladies came out, a couple of older women, I think they were probably in their 70s, and I was bleeding all over them, bleeding all over their front porch, and they called 911, and I sat there and waited for police and ambulance to come, and while I waited, I just had this crazy calm come over me, and I started listening to the sound of the locusts that were out that year, I guess, and just intense buzzing, right? And it just kind of surrounds you, especially people who grew up in the South or parts of the country where they're around. You can picture the feeling of like that humid heat and the sound of that buzzing. So anyway, I sat there as I was sort of listening to that sound, and it was just super calm, and actually had this amazing feeling of like positive optimism, and I'm like, man, I almost died, huh? How about that? Life is short, and I'm gonna do everything I can with it now. You know, I'm not gonna accept half-assed anything. I'm not gonna accept crap. I'm not gonna let people push me around. I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm gonna do everything I possibly can. Again, I think that sounds very trite, but it's literally what I felt at that moment, sitting on that doorstep, and just really calm. And so, you know, went to the hospital, caught the kid. He went to jail for a little bit. He was 17, turns out, and had to testify. That's a whole other story, but I think back to that a lot, And it's amazing how like bad things are good things, you know, and how bad moments are good moments and can be motivational. And I think back to that all the time. That's always been a really motivating moment for me for so many reasons. And when I think of it, it's always that sound that hits me first, that buzzing sound of the locust. It's this moment of, it's the sensory memory. You know how you remember like your grandmother's house, you remember the smells, you know, or you remember the sounds. Like, that's what it is for me. It's the sound is what connects me to that always. And so when we were thinking of naming this company at the beginning, I thought through all the special personal things to me and what's motivating, and wanted something that would last, not something that was just made up to kind of feed some syndicated data demographic or something, you know. And that's always been the thing that's been there. And so naming the company after it, to me, gives us it's something real that we can anchor ourselves to and never really forget. I can tell the story, and if we can build a company that lasts, maybe beyond me, that would be amazing. And maybe people can remember that story beyond me and know that, you know, what we stand for is not accepting half quality and not going halfway with anything, and making everything count that we do. And so that's where the name comes from, and that's why we named the company that.